Hey, I'm Steve Brewster here with Vlad today, and just kind of talking about my point of view about the Tonewings and what's going on here. You know, what I've found, my greatest experience with the Tonewings so far is this Black Beauty right here, and I've got 4 of them in the drum, and they're attached to the drum via the magnet way of doing it instead of screwing it into the drum, which I prefer. And I actually think to some extent, I don't know the science behind this, but I really believe that the magnets are adding to the controlling the unwanted tones. So anyway, and it's easier to change them too and move them around. So all you gotta do is take the head off, and you can just pull the Tonewings or put them in, you know, pull the magnet apart, move the Tonewings, add more Tonewings, less Tonewings, put them in a different position in the drum. It's much more efficient in our fast moving, you know, workflow the way we do. All right, so my concept with all this is that basically all these tones are, you got essentially lows, mids, and highs coming out of the drum. What do we want to do? We want to, those tones are inherently, scientifically, I think, just already there. So what we want to do is subtract, the word subtract certain tones instead of add. So to me, this Tonewing concept is a perfect example of subtracting unwanted tone, usually with a drum. I don't know how this works on other instruments, pianos, guitars, whatever, but usually with a snare drum, let's just say, because that's really all I've experimented with. Usually we want to subtract this honky kind of mid-range out of the drum that is a nuisance in the recording environment most of the time. You know, it's one thing to sit down with a wide open drum and just play 2 and 4 by yourself just in a room and just slam on that snare drum and it's just going going, 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 and you're like, man, this is so much fun, you know. But, you know, put that mic that, record it, and fit it into a mix with a band, with guitars, with vocals, with bass, with synths, with whatever, you know, and it's just more times than not doesn't work. As far as, you know, you'll find that, well, the snare drum isn't really sitting loud enough in the mix. Well, the reason the snare drum's not sitting loud enough in the mix is because these tones are eating up the whole sonic space, and they have to turn the snare drum down to let the rest of the music speak properly. So, you know, for years, us drummers, we spend our time with, you know, moon gels, rings on drums, whatever we can do to focus the drum in. And I think that's the key word when we're talking about these Tonewings, is we're focusing. So how do we focus it? I think, you know, we're not going to add any bottom end to the snare drum. We're not really adding any top end to the snare drum. We're subtracting the mid-range honky tone that is not pleasant to the microphone and to the mix, you know, to the recording that we're working on. So my experience with these is, so far, I'm gonna use them on some other drums, on toms and things too, because if they work here, to some extent they're gonna work, you know, on other drums as well. But anyway, so that's kind of my experience with them. I give them a thumbs up, and like a lot of you, you know, I'm usually pretty freaking skeptical of all these kinds of things. Oh, this is going to change the sound of drum history, whatever, and I'm a little skeptical of things, but I'm not scared to try them. But I'm not one to like jump on it and it's changing my life and the sound of my drums for the rest of my life. But I will say this is a for real thing. I don't know the science behind it, but I do know what we're doing is we're sucking down unwanted tones so that the already existing beautiful tones of the drum are more prominent and speak more loudly and focused. So I think focus is a great word for this. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.